Welcome to Marketer's Alchemy, where we pull back the curtain on the intricate world of data-driven marketing. On this show, we delve into the convergence of marketing as an art form and data as a scientific foundation, unveiling the secrets to turning raw data into marketing gold. I'm your host, Kathryn Turnoff, Senior Product Manager at Deluxe. Join us as we dive into real-life case studies and give you a front row seat to industry pioneers and visionaries. Welcome to Marketer's Alchemy, turning data into gold. I'm Kathryn Turnoff, and I'm here with Liz Teran, CMO at Owlet Baby Care. Welcome, Liz.
Hi, Kathryn. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure. So tell us a little bit about your career journey. I know you're kind of more a traditional product marketer. Can you fill us in about that?
Yes, actually, I started as a copywriter, and I always thought I would go agency side into advertising. But early in my career, I actually landed at Skullcandy, a global headphone company. And my job was in product training. So I'd visit all of our retailers and educate them on products. And that really evolved into me building their first product marketing team at the organization. And that's when I really fell in love with product marketing and just understanding the consumer, obsessing over them and their journey and their needs, and addressing how products can meet those needs for them. So that's where I really fell in love with product.
I love it. I'm a product person as well, so you're speaking my language.
From there, my experience really expanded into, growth, creative, brand, channel, but at the center of all of it, no matter where I kind of expanded into, being obsessed with the consumer and really having that deep empathy for them is where I really center myself.
So what attracted you to Owlet specifically?
So Owlet for me was really attractive because it was the perfect intersection of all the things I'm really passionate about. It was, industry leading innovation on the product side and technology, as well as a brand that was very consumer obsessed and then rooted in a really important and powerful mission. At Owlet, we make medical grade baby monitors that empower parents. I am a mother myself, and that prenatal and postpartum journey can be extremely confusing, overwhelming, and anxiety inducing, but it really should be joyful. That is not the experience most parents have. But 75% of parents go on to purchase baby monitors, and the traditional baby monitor solutions really only offer the ability to hear or see your baby. And at Owlet, our core product idea was we wanted to go beyond traditional baby monitoring to offer people the ability to see their baby, hear their baby, but also monitor key health and sleep metrics that would allow parents to see pulse ox, sleep state, and receive alerts when baby would really need them. Through empowering parents with that information, we're allowing them to have a more joyful and safe experience in the parenting journey.
I can personally speak to that. So I had a NICU baby. When you spend time with your baby like that versus I think just like taking him home and figuring it out, you see all the data and the information. When we did get to take him home, it felt like, okay, I need that, right? That's important. And so Owlet for us did supply that and just give us that peace of mind. I think you nailed it, right? So you can really focus on the joyful parts, and like the rest of it is like taken care of. It's like, we just felt so much safer with it.
That's great. Yeah, I love hearing parent stories like that. And that's an experience that many parents tell us to report back. And it's so enjoyable to hear.
So I get that you're collecting parent stories, right? But let's dovetail this into our first segment, Alchemy Unveiled, Mixing Marketing Potions. So what other types of data does your team use?
So we have a pretty wide variety of data available to us, all the things that you would think. It is a mix, of course, of first-party data as well as some kind of, I'd say, scrappy or intuitive data, but it's everything you would imagine, our website traffic, our performance metrics, email lifecycle, and, product usage itself is some of our first party data. And then of course, we're also always looking for that qualitative data. What are we seeing parents talking about on social? What do we see in the customer reviews? Or we go out and interview customers directly and hear feedback from them. Those are all different, data points we try to pull together to paint the full picture.
Are those qualitative more of what you're calling the scrappy data?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
I love it. Are there any things that you've learned from more of the qualitative, not traditional data sources that went against what you learned from your quantitative data?
Yeah, I would say more so in the sense of like went against it like went against what you would think best practices were. I think that's something that happens a lot in the field, is that when people say they're a very data-driven organization, sometimes that can mean raw first-party data, and other times it can mean, they're absorbing like broadly what the industry is doing, and best practices means this. And I found there are many times where the actual customer experience goes against some of those data points, and that's definitely something we've experienced.
Got it. So what makes someone, I mean, I think we can imagine, but what makes someone primed to be a customer for your product?
Yeah, our customer, very specific, new and expecting parents, usually in their second or third trimesters when we first start to interact with them, all the way through those first 4 to 6 months of postpartum. What's really interesting about our customer is that, less than 1% of the US population is pregnant at any given time. So this is not a mass marketing brand. We have a very niche customer. Our total addressable market is constantly refreshing. We have a new person coming in and another person exiting at any given time. So that means that, when we're crafting our strategies, we have to be very intentional and very effective in reaching that niche customer at exactly the right time.
The right time is so important here too, because I think you even shortened it, right? When you said like the second and third trimesters, right? In my mind, at least I was like, at least you got 10 months. But so how do you take this short timeline and how do you attract and nurture customers through their buying journey, given that it's so short?
Yeah. So even though there are a lot of challenges with this specific consumer, given that short period of time, there's also a lot of opportunities and benefits to this type of consumer. Becoming a parent is so monumental in their journey that it's really at the center of everything they're living and breathing for that period of time. That also makes them a very highly researched and highly engaged consumer, which is a huge benefit for us. That means they are out there, they're in blogs, they're in Reddit forums, they're talking to friends, they're talking to their pediatrician. So they're really out there looking for answers and researching solutions. And that presents a really great opportunity for us to reach them because there's so many places to reach them. So our goal really isn't to interrupt that journey, but really to just be there and show up as a part of it and offer a really trustworthy and relevant message to them at each stage of this journey.
How are you helping, or how are you finding these customers currently?
We find these customers in all the places you would really expect. They're living on TikTok, they're living on Facebook, they are in Reddit researching parenting solutions. They are looking at roundup articles for the best solutions for them. So we really look to all of those different channels to find them, and then we show up with that relevant message for them.
Got it. Do you use triggers in your marketing efforts?
Absolutely. We really try to map out the full extent of that consumer journey and then really that state of mind as well as they're moving through it, which does shift over time. And so we say, okay, at this point, they might be showing up at our site. Let's, trigger if they abandon their cart or if they just visit the site and have it added to cart, or, okay, we got their email. Let's push them through our, pre-purchase series and get them a little bit more education, increase that consideration. So really across the entire funnel, we are looking at what different levels of awareness consideration do they have? And then how do we just keep moving them from one part of the funnel to the next, whether that's through triggered activities or just, retargeting from other activities and channels.
Got it. I'm specifically thinking in this case of event triggers, right? So are there data pieces around like I just became pregnant or I just, like I'm going to be a parent, things like that you use to help to find your customers?
There are indications. There's no single button you can hit like, hey, I'm notified X just became a parent, but obviously there are a number of behavioral triggers that we can see, a person researching a best baby monitor or visiting Target to start building their registry. And we're there and we have, we're a recommended item, that sort of thing. So there are certain milestones and events that we know are critical to this part of the journey. And we work, across all channels to ensure that we're there.
That makes sense. Like a flag, like, hey, this person might be a great customer for us. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
That makes sense. So are there any kind of surprising behavioral triggers that you see that you maybe necessarily wouldn't expect to associate with your customer base?
It's not surprising when you dig in and when you live it, but it's surprising before you really thought that hard about it. One really interesting thing about our consumers is that the behavioral and psychographic attitudes before a baby has arrived, especially for a first-time parent versus after, can be pretty significant. So, we definitely have to tailor our messaging in different ways because, for example, a first-time parent thinks they know what they're in for. Any parent that has gone through that will tell you they have no idea. So, we present them with certain messages or solutions that before they've really felt the pain of a sleepless night or hovering over their baby to see if they're breathing, some messages just don't quite resonate as well as they do once baby's arrived and they really feel that pain. So I would say it's not surprising when you frame it like that or you experience it, you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. But I think it's different from a lot of other industries where you might be thinking about different consumer segments, but you're not thinking about how just that consumer changes so much within the life cycle of your marketing.
Which is already short, right? Like which
is already short. And then they're making so many changes along the way. I mean, it's a very interesting, very unique challenge.
So on the topic of kind of that messaging and campaigns, let's move on to our next segment, which is From Nuggets to Campaign Gold. So here we really talk about real life examples that demonstrate successful or even sometimes unsuccessful, we don't mind those, campaigns that you use that were driven by data. Are there any recent ones that come to mind that you wouldn't mind sharing with us?
Yeah, I'd love to share a little bit about our Only Owlet campaign. This is a brand campaign we launched last year. And really it started from us wanting to make sure we understood our full marketing funnel, what was our awareness, consideration, et cetera. And as we were digging into some of the data there, we saw some pretty astonishing metrics around both our word of mouth and our net promoter score. So we have a very, very high net promoter score with our product and also really high word of mouth. We were seeing that over 50% of our people who went on to buy our product first heard about us from a friend or family member. And then in discussing with these parents, what was the most impactful piece of media or advertisement that got them to consider our product, it did come back to real parent stories. So we thought, wow, we're spending millions in building awareness with our own kind of, speeds and feeds marketing. But here we are hearing firsthand from parents, like our actual users are doing all the heavy lifting, So that definitely led to switching up our strategy a little bit and really building a campaign that focused less on features and more on real, authentic, raw parent stories. And this is something that as we started to roll out, whether it was at, a wall at a trade show that just featured parent stories or paid ads that were just a cycle of real parent stories, or going to our website, we have a full page dedicated to it there, taking that to retail, talking to press about these stories, just every single channel, everywhere we went, these really resonated. And it's because people saw how emotional and real the stories were and the credibility they had. That kind of moved it away from it didn't feel like marketing, it felt like truth.
That makes sense. I think too, when you're in that moment, that's really what you're looking for, right? You go to the mommy and me classes and it's like, I just want to talk to the other moms. Like, is this what's happening? What did you use? What did you try? And so I think to have that is more powerful than any other, because you trust other moms. You're like, okay, other people are using this and this is a product that is built on trust, right? So it like you said, lends the credibility.
100%.
What are some other creative ways that you're currently using or collecting data?
Yeah, one way that's really exciting, it's both marketing and product. We just launched our first subscription service in our app, Owlet 360. So this is an add-on service in the Dream app that provides the consumer with deeper health insights about their child and trends over time. So it really elevates, the value of the product that they've already purchased to another level. What's really exciting about Owlet 360 is it feels like a great opportunity, again, for the product and marketing to come together and not only provide that elevated product experience, but also make it easier to provide that much more meaningful marketing interactions, So for example, we're able to, target parents like after they've set up their product and registered it, let's get in front of them and talk about how they can get this added value and increase the length of time that they're using the product. And okay, now it's not just kind of the initial out-of-box experience, but now it's got these extra layers to it. We're having a lot of fun with the data that we're able to see in the app. Owlet has one of the largest infant health data sets in the world. So this is really exciting. We're just getting started, but there's so many opportunities for us to use that information to, empower parents further, to just delight them in their product experience. For example, things we're talking about haven't implemented yet might be like, oh, we can see that your baby woke several times last night. It looks like you had a rough night, mom. Here's a Starbucks gift card on us. Have a good day, So it's not just the product pieces of like, oh, your child might be getting sick or this, key health metric has changed for them, but also just provide them a delightful brand experience as well. And I think that's really magical.
I love the integrated different product marketing, right? Or like with a Starbucks promo or collab, like they think that's amazing. I think for a while we were like writing our schedule out because I was just so tired of the question of like, how long did he sleep? Did he sleep? How is it? Like those things. So like to have it in a spot where you can look and then have actionable data. I mean, it's like what we talk about on this show, right? You've got all this data. How do you make it actionable? And so the fact that you're doing that with your product to consumers is amazing.
And what I love about that too is the empowering aspect it has for parents, especially in the wellness space. We're as consumers at our age, there's so many tools available for us now to improve our own health, get a better sense of our overall wellness. And there's just really not very many tools for parents to do that with their own children. And so I really love that we're able to, make parents the hero, really help them advocate for their children. Hey, I noticed this significant sleep change in my child, or oh, that looks like I know what my child's normal resting heart rate is and it's elevated, so I think they might be coming down with something. I'm going to keep a closer eye. I really love that we're able to help parents advocate for that. And we have so many stories where we've seen parents have said, my child looks completely fine, but based on the data I could see that something wasn't right, went to the doctor and they had SVT or they had a rare heart condition. I mean, we get stories like that all the time. And that truly shows the power of data, so it's not so much we think of as just marketing data or product data. It's what are we doing for the customer overall and how we bring all of it together to just make sure that they're having a great experience and they feel really empowered in this, really critical time.
There's such a value in it too, right? Like you're not just collecting it to collect it or for your own purposes. It really helps the parents. And I'm sure even from like a healthcare perspective, right? The difference between a mom coming in and saying, well, I sort of feel like maybe, and coming in and saying, hey, here's the data that has to help them as well.
We see that all the time. We see parents say like, if I didn't have this, dashboard right here proving to them, I'm not sure my doctor would have listened. And now we're starting to see the tables turn. We're seeing, especially now that we have FDA clearance and we are considered a medical device, there's obviously a lot more interest and support from the healthcare community than there was previously. And that is new for us. But we're now starting to see pediatricians, recommend this out the gate to anxious parents or to parents that might have a chronic condition or, oh, your child, has RSV or something. This might help you get through that stage. So that's really exciting for us. But we hear constantly from parents that this data has empowered them to be an advocate for themselves and for their child. And that's really what we love to hear.
And we talk about too, products kind of changing the way the world interacts, right? Like a smartphone, right? At first we just took calls and, and now we do it for so many things. I feel like this is a lot like it. My child's a little older. So when we used it, a lot of people were like, oh, what do you, like they were kind of like, what do you need that for? It's fine. And now, like when you just look at the evolution of it, now it becomes something that parents really need and can't, like the implications of it go so far. I just think it's really changing how parents kind of monitor their kids' health and all those things.
Absolutely. I think it's funny you say that. That's a really important challenge for us as well. We recognize that the parents that get it. The parents that don't, oh, that sounds nice to have, or I'm not that anxious of a parent. And I think our challenge and our continuous challenge will be demonstrating to parents how this is a must-have over time. And I think many people get, especially in the early stages and early months of infancy, those pain points around safety and how serious they can be in the early months. And that's pretty clear, direct. But I think what parents don't understand as much is just the benefits of understanding your child's health over time and seeing how understanding some of those baselines, how they might be changing, can give them information they need to understand things better. We're seeing a rise in kids with sleep apnea or, a rise in kids with anxiety due to not getting enough sleep. I'm really excited for opportunities we have to show how tracking some of that stuff, just like you would on your Oura Ring or your Apple Watch or something, can have the same benefits. It's almost like you don't know what you don't know until you start tracking that, And so I think we're going to even continue to see ways we didn't expect that our data can help parents in that journey.
All of it's unfolding, right? Like I think you're just on like the precipice of it, and to be able to put it into actionable, steps for parents is like the next is amazing.
100%.
Now for our last segment, we like to have a little bit of fun here, what we call our gold rush round. What are some of your favorite places to stay on top of marketing trends?
Honestly, I would actually say I don't spend a ton of time chasing or researching new trends. I would say I'm always looking for inspiration. I love going on LinkedIn and hearing from fellow marketing leaders, or even just, different disciplines and learnings that people are gathering. So I do spend a bit of time there, here, enjoying hearing about other people's experiences. I get a ton of inspiration from my team. I always say that it is my job to hire people that are smarter, cooler, more plugged in than I am. So they keep me humble and they keep our work moving forward. And then I also would say that I think one of the best places to get inspiration and stay on top of trends is just to be a consumer yourself. I live on TikTok, I visit retail stores, I click on ads for products I'm not even interested in just to see what that journey is like and how it pushes me through the funnel. And I get so much inspiration from just keeping that kind of consumer marketing hat on at all times and thinking, this was interesting. This resonated with me. This connected with me. And would that apply to Owlet? For me, it just takes marketing away from being such a check the box discipline to more like, hey, at the heart of everything, marketing is storytelling. It's connecting with consumers. And you can connect, anything could be marketing. If you're connecting with a consumer and delivering a message in an impactful way, great. Like I'm open to that. I want to seek out those things.
I think it's innovative just to even think of it in those terms, right? Like that you're always a consumer. It's all around you. Kind of look for the trends that you like and don't like. Like that's probably the best way to stay on top of it, really.
Yeah. And then for everything I missed, that's why I have my team. Like, hey, you're old though, so here's what's happening.
True. Can you share one company besides Owlet, of course, that you see making an impact in their marketing efforts? Who's doing it well?
There are several that I think are doing so many cool things and that I looked up to, and I really like to look across different disciplines to stay inspired and see if there are things that can apply to us, even if they don't seem like a direct connect. But if I had to pick one, I think one company I'm definitely impressed with and that is somewhat similar to ours is Aura. I think they're doing a fantastic job. They've really taken an approach that is scientific and deeply technical, but they've also presented it in a very aspirational and beautifully designed way. So their product marketing is very clear, but it's also very emotionally elevated. And I think they've, in some ways, is very similar to Owlet, and I think they're doing a great job.
I was going to say, when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, I can see the similarities for sure.
Yeah.
So what's next for Owlet and their customers?
So much. We are on a mission, and we're just getting started. We have a North Star of every baby, every parent, and that's something we really repeat to each other internally and externally. But what that really means to us is that we believe our technology, the data that we provide, the information we provide is so critical to, across the world. And so our mission every day will be just to continue expanding that and reaching those people, making it more accessible where we can. We're laser focused on that. We want to make sure we're really understanding the caregiver journey across the world. We know it varies, in different countries and in different types of households. So we're on a mission to make sure we understand that and make sure that we can bring the right value to the right people. But really for us, I think our vision is a world where every caregiver has access to a tool like this. We were talking about this before. The implications from a healthcare perspective are big. We believe that our product can deliver more sleep, less anxiety, greater confidence to parents around the world. And as we build towards that, I think we'll also see a revolution in infant care and in parental support. And we could really use that right now. Our mission is one that puts parents in control and babies at the center.
Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate you joining us. How can our listeners learn more about what you're working on? How can we keep up with you?
They can follow us on LinkedIn, where we're always making announcements about new opportunities and partnerships, and of course, across social media.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
To never miss an episode, subscribe to the show wherever you listen. I'm Kathryn Turnoff, and this is Marketer's Alchemy.